liturgy, I am talking to the children ostensibly, but I'm really talking to everyone. Jesus got in trouble for the people he associated with. And people were outraged because he didn't hang out with the right kind of people. He hung out with people who basically were always in trouble. People who do things wrong. And I didn't question, first of all, not just young people, grown-ups count too. How many of you have ever done anything wrong in your life? Raise your hand. Matt, you're an attorney. You better raise your hand. Don't go there with me. So Jesus decides that to teach a lesson, he does what a great teacher does. He tells a story. I'm going to tell that story again, but I need 2 volunteers. And he used 2 brothers. So I'm going to try to go with 2 guys. He could have used 2 sisters. I never had any sisters, but it is my understanding that sisters can be just as annoying and mean as brothers. Is that true? What's it about daughters? This is not, don't talk about Evelyn to me now. Evelyn is wonderful. Okay, so can I have 2 young people volunteers? Young guys. Any 2. Any 2. Tim? Tim? Good. All right. I'll do one more here. Okay. Come on, here. All right. Come on, please. All right, this almost works. Okay? So Jesus tells a story. Now just go with the story. And don't be afraid to ham it up, okay? Because he's going to make the story. He tells what has sometimes been said in literature is one of the greatest short stories ever put together. And what I'm going to ask you to do, and attorneys know what I'm talking about here, it's really important not only listening to the words or reading the words that are there, but as I tell my students in Ken Law class, you have to read the words that are not there. You have to listen for what's not being said, because what's not being said is very subtle, powerful. So Jesus tells a story, and he talks about forgiveness. And he talks about how incredible God's forgiveness is. And this is the story he tells. He says, there once was a guy who had 2 sons. Like I said, it could have been 2 daughters, okay? There's the young son, and there's the older son. All right? Neither of them are nice. All right? Get this right away. All right? Neither of them. You have the youngest one here, okay? And he goes to his father, and he says to him, with great love and great respect, Dad, why don't you just pretend like you dropped dead? That's what's being said. And lovely, yes. And give me whatever you would have given me in the will as my inheritance. Give it to me now. Absolute, in that culture, terrible disrespect. If my grandmother heard you say that, she would slap you from one end of the gym to the other. Okay? On the other hand, here's what's not said. As a dutiful, respectful older brother, it would have been his job to slap him from one end of the gym to the other. That's what the other brother did. But he didn't. So what's that about? He didn't. So then the son gets his inheritance. Whole bunches of money. Okay? Whole bunches of money. I'm going to hold on to that money for a minute. And I'm going to take friend. Who wants to be a friend? Anyone can be a friend. That's a friend. No, don't fold the lower part yet. Just keep the other part. We'll keep all sorts of friends. Ron, you can be a friend. You can be a friend. You guys be friends. Ron, you can be a friend. There you go. Who else wants one? You want it? Go ahead. Be a friend. So he takes all of his money that he's inherited, the father's let him go, and he's going to go out and he's going to have a wonderful time for himself. He's going to spend his money and everything. He's going to make Cespedes look like a monk. He's going to buy cars. He's going to have little parties. He's going to have the best food. He's going to buy great houses. So take all this money and spend it on your friends. Give it away. Go on. You got friends. There you go. Give it all away. You got tons of money. Give it to anybody. Give it to people who are not even friends. Thousands and thousands of dollars. There it is. Gives it all away. Aren't you happy? And then all of a sudden he has sudden he learns one of life's really cool lessons. And you who are young people, you don't know this yet. And I pray to God you never do. But there may come a time when you will find out that if people only like you for what you can do, what you do for them, they will not be your friend for long. So, these who are friends, let's see what kind of friend you are when he doesn't have any money. Show everybody. He's got nothing. He's got absolutely nothing. He's now living in a foreign land. He's given up everything. He's given up his culture. He's given up his family. He's given up his religion. He's given up everything so he can have a good time. Okay? Now he's got nothing. And now he says to himself, what am I going to do? I got to eat. His furniture's on the sidewalk. For those of you who live up here, sidewalks are things that cities have. That they don't have up here, along with traffic lights and subways. But anyway, he is so desperate, he decides he takes a job, and he takes a job feeding pigs. Now, those of you who have any kind of Bible study, those of you who know anything of the Jewish faith, you know the pig is an unclean animal. All right? Jewish people do not eat ham, they do not eat pork, they do not eat bacon, Muslims the same. Okay? This is considered an unclean animal. It makes you unclean. He is now so low that he's looking up to the curb. You know what a curb is? So he gets a job, and he's got to get the job. Hold on for a second, get back to the stage. Let's see. Everybody, you can be one. Hold on. Who didn't I go here? You can have one. You got the baby. You can be one. There you go. You can be one. You can be one. He gets a job feeding pigs. So feed the pigs. And you notice the pig's sister stole her food. Okay, make the point. Come here, woman. He's not a pig. He's starving. He won't eat pig. He obviously will not eat pig food, which probably would have been carrot or corn husk or something. So finally, he says to himself, "Look, this is stupid." Matter of fact, you slap yourself on the top of the head. He said, "This is stupid. Why am I here? I have no friends. I have no home. I have a job, which totally is terrible." It's another word I use when we're in church. All right? He said, "Look, at least if I go home, I can't be a son anymore. I burn those bridges. I can't possibly face my parents and tell them that I'm their son. But at least they'll give me a job. At least if I go back home and I have this memorized speech, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before God. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son, blah, blah, blah." He's going to say the speech. Dad will feel sorry for him, give him a job, and at least he will get 3 hots and a cot. Okay? So he starts making the long journey home. Take a journey in place. Look like you're walking. Look like you're sad. That's a sad. And here's the thing you don't get. We don't get so often. As Luke relates the story so beautifully. He says the father was still at a distance looking for him. Waiting for him to come home. And the father grabs him. And as he starts his speech, "Father, I sinned against heaven before," he never finishes it. Father essentially says, "Shut up." He takes his best robe, puts it on him, takes the ring, the symbol of the part of my family. He puts the ring on his hand. He says, "Get a pair of shoes for him, a new pair of sandals, because you've been walking behind pigs, haven't you?" Take a shower. And he said, "This is great. We're going to have a party. We're going to take the biggest calf we have, and we're going to kill it, and we're going to eat for a week." Because remember, again, the words you don't see, in an era without refrigeration, when you kill the calf, you're talking about a feast that's going to go on for days and days and days. Because you've got to eat it all, it's going to go bad. So we're going to have, as my grandma would say, a big lunch. And we're just going to keep eating and eating and eating. And they bring bring in the music. And they have a wonderful party for this interesting young person. And then, out in the fields is the other brother. And I want to see your really outraged, I am furious at the world. Think of it. He comes to the forefront, and he hears the music, and he says to one of the people working there, what's going on? And they say, your brother has come back home, and your father is so happy, he's having a great party for you, he's killed a fatted calf. In that culture, you know what that means. A week-long celebration. And he explodes. Give me your best explosion face. And angry. Like you're really annoyed at me for having picked you on you. He's furious. He won't go inside of the party. So what does the father do? The father comes outside again. So comes to him. In that culture, the father, the elder, does not go to the younger people. You have respect. You come to me on your knees. You should be on your knees for all the stuff you did. And he says, come on in. Come to the party. And the son just explodes. He says, look, hey, this jerk went out and he did all these terrible things. And a very interesting thing that he does, he kind of projects. He said, look, he took your, first of all, this son of yours. He doesn't say my brother. Now, many of you may not be used to this, but in my house, I knew where I stood with my family if I was in trouble or not. Because when my father came home from work, if my mother ever started with, do you know what your son did? Yeah, distancing herself from me, that was not going to do I was in trouble. If it's like, do you know what my son did? I was in her good graces. Okay? And he says, your son takes your money and spends it on all his loose women. Was that ever in the first part of the text? Did you hear that or read that? No, you did not. He projects that. Which we're getting a little insight into what this brother might have done. This guy's greedy, and he's mean. This guy's angry and mean, and he's jealous. So that's why I said neither of them are saints here. He said, look, I've never given you any kind of a problem at all, and guess what? You've never done anything for me. And no, I'm not going in because I don't want to see him. I could care the least about him. And the father says, look, everything I have now belongs to you. You are now everything. But we had to go inside because your brother was dead. And he's really alive now. He was lost. He was lost inside as well as outside. And now he's found. The whole point of the story, ask yourself this, no matter what I have done, how much is God willing to forgive me? He's like a father with two sons. And think about it, the greatness of the story comes from the fact that we don't know how it ends. We are never told whether he really gets it that he's his son. He still thinks he's going to come as a worker. We're never told if he goes into the house. It's your imagination to figure out. How much does God forgive us? It is immense. All we need to do is ask. That's the purpose. You've been good spirits, gentlemen. Thank you very much. So would you all please stand? And please turn to the Apostles' Creed, which is on page